In 2004, fans of the Transformers franchise were treated to a surprise with the release of a brand new game for the PS2s called Transformers. Not Transformers Armada the game, or Transformers Prelude to Energon, just Transformers! The game was first shown off at Transformers Con in March 2004 and was published by Atari of all people, as well as developed by one of their own development teams, Melbourne House. Despite receiving decent reviews, the game is mostly forgotten in 2022, and only us hardcore TF fans still know of its existence in today's world. And today, I'm going to be describing to you what this game is and how it plays. Hey, my name is Jude, and this is what is
Transformers.
So let's get that story out of the way, shall we? Because there's a whole sentence or two worth of deep lore to go over. If you watch anything Transformers, then you know what this game's about. Autobots fight Decepticons fight Autobots, but now they're fighting over who can collect the Minicons for their Pokedexes. Oh, and Unicron shows up to destroy Cybertron. The end.
That can't be it. Where's the rest of it?
Honestly, I wish I had more to talk about for the story, but there's so little to go over. You follow the Minicons to Earth and follow the Decepticons wherever they go, and bingo bango, there's your story. On top of that, there's very little, if any, characterization to be had in the game. No backstory on why the Autobots and Decepticons are fighting each other. So if you're looking for an intricate story with tons of lore, character development, look somewhere else, you won't find it here. Okay, so if there isn't much story to be had, what are you playing this game for? Well, you're playing it for the gameplay and level design. The game is a hybrid of a third-person shooter slash platformer slash collectathon. You play as 3 Autobots: Hotshot, the not Bumblebee; Red Alert, the not Ratchet; and Optimus, the not Optimus Prime.
Wait a minute.
All 3 characters virtually play the same with the exception of their speed and dexterity. For example, Hotshot is the fastest but lacks the dex to wield stronger minicons, while Optimus is the slowest, but as a trade-off he can wield some of the toughest minicon combinations in the game, with Red Alert being a good mix of the two. Now let's go over your controls. You have R1 to shoot your primary gun, and R2 to shoot your secondary weapon, L2 to use your secondary ability, and L1 is the jump button.
You what?
Okay, I know that sounds crazy, but hey, in Shadow of the Colossus, triangle was the jump button, and in Kingdom Hearts circle, it's always been the jump button. I'm kind of used to games having different jump buttons over X. Just give it a few minutes and you'll get used to it, don't worry. The circle button goes into first person mode. This can be used to get a better feel for the environment up ahead, as well as a more accurate shot. The only problem with this mode is that you move much slower in first person, and you can't jump either. Lastly, triangle allows you to turn into your car mode. Optimus turns into a truck, Red Alert is an SUV, and Hotshot's a yellow car. Bro, trust me, he's totally not Bumblebee. You'll also be shooting your way through the Decepticons army called Decepticons. Get it? These include, but not limited to, light units who get kicked halfway through the game, the grunts from Halo, the heavy unit who gets booted to regular enemy status right after, that one toy from Bionicle, and the flying snipers who... Other enemies include the spider tanks, the EMP hounds, the whatever the heck that is, the dropships that take you for a ride, and the commando units who always hack and slash at you no matter where you are. So when you destroy a Decepticon, they drop these items right here called Energon. This is your primary way of healing. See, you don't have any healing abilities in this game, or rather any good ones. So the game encourages you to go out and fight in order to gain back the health you lost from enemies. Depending upon the enemy type, you'll be rewarded with larger health pools, like this one, or holy shit! Let's go over the kinds of minicons you'll be collecting in this adventure. You'll be collecting these little bugs to give you abilities to help progress through the levels. After the first level, the game will give you a free companion minicon for each Autobot. This is what the square button is used for. It allows you to combine with your minicon to go into Power Link mode. This mode slows down time for everyone except for you, but I rarely use this given how fast the minicons drain your health, so don't bother. Minicons such as Flashbang, Lock-On, and Hailstorm will shoot rockets. Slapshot slaps grenades, while ones like Watchdogs shoot sticky grenades.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't.
Other minicons such as Slipstream lets you glide around the levels, Twister just yeets enemies off with a tornado, then Overwatch makes you boycott Blizzard, Fireflight gives you a charge shot, High Jump lets you jump good, Lookout gives you a sniper rifle, and then there's that one minicon that we don't talk about here on YouTube.
What? It's just an ordinary crabby.
Well, regardless of which minicons you use, be sure to mix and match them with ones of the same colors. They will give you an overshield during combat. And this is very important because damage is very high in this game, so you want as much health as possible. Also keep in mind that each minicon has a certain amount of power associated with them, meaning that you can't just wield the most broken minicons all at once. Now, as a heads up, you will be required to have a certain amount of minicons in order to beat the game. On Recruit, you need 30, Veteran requires 35, and Commander requires all 40 to beat the game. In other words, keep an eye out and catch them all. Now, aside from minicons, you'll probably notice these glowing collectibles here. These are called datacons, and they are 100% optional. Heck, even the Decepticons know 100% this game. They're that optional. There are 58 of these things in total, and they are scattered to the ends of the earth. They can unlock extras such as content art, comic books, public service announcements? Yeah, the original Transformers cartoon had PSAs just like G.I. Joe did. They never aired on television, so that's probably why most people don't know these exist.
Now I know. And knowing is half the battle.
Now, the game features 7 different levels to progress through, with the 8th and final one being one giant boss fight. These levels include the Amazon, Antarctica, Amazon but brighter, the Mid-Atlantic, Alaska, the worst but also best level in the game, and the Pacific Islands. Okay, so now that we've covered all that, it's time to focus on the boss fights. These include the Heavy Unit, who gives a new meaning to Step on Me, Starscream, who just wants to fly sky high, Cyclonus, who spins you right round, Tidal Wave, my personal favorite in the game, Starscream, but now with... And then there's the leader of the Decepticons,
And his name is John C.
Aside from them, the only other boss in the game is Unicron. His whole fight is the entire level of Cybertron. And sadly, there's no Sandwich MacGuffin to finish off this dude. Okay, so let's go over some tips and fun facts about the game, shall we? While Hotshot is the weakest of the three, his speed allows him to break the game and get some minicons that are otherwise inaccessible early on, thus breaking the early game. At one point during development, other characters from the Armada show were going to be playable, such as Smokescreen, Jetfire, Sideswipe, and Scavenger. Although how they're going to make something as interesting as driving a tractor engaging is anyone's guess. Before going to fight Tidal Wave, be sure to go back and equip Lookout, as he is one of the few minicons who can actually shoot this guy. Demolisher was going to be a boss in what was the original draft of the Starship level, and given how the level starts, I don't blame him for walking out. All of the guides say to vehicle jump to prevent fall damage from Megatron's arena, but honestly, I just use Slipstream and fly in with twice the health and no damage. Kyuji Kawase was the cutscene director for this game, who you may recognize as the director for the cutscenes of the original Final Fantasy VII. So hopefully this video gives you an idea of what this game is and how it plays. If you wish to play in 2022, the game is still only available on PS2, sadly. It's not the hardest thing in the world, it only goes for 20 bucks on Amazon. I would say the best way to play it currently is on the PCSX2 emulator, which allows the game to be seen at 1080p and beyond. Transformers for the PS2 is a fun third-person shooter slash platformer slash collectathon that deserves more attention and is criminally underrated nowadays. And while the game does run at 60 FPS on both PS2 and emulator, a remaster of some kind would be greatly appreciated. With all that out of the way, please like, share, and subscribe, and I hope you all have a blessed day. Take care.